Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be checking out America's unhinged nuclear testing, Operation Plumbob by the Fat Electrician. This was teased at the end of the last Fat Electrician video we checked out, which was World War III. That was a great video. Great little story there. Very disconcerting though, I will say, and brutal for the Americans involved. You know, 2 American service members obviously lost their lives in that incident, and it was over a fucking tree. So I really like that story. That was awesome to check out. But this was teased at the end of it, and he said he should talk about this. So I guess he obviously made it into a video by the looks of it. What was it? The fastest man-made object yeeted into space because of a nuclear warhead. It was a manhole cover, if I recall, right? Not the exact words he used, of course, but something along those lines. So of course, how could I not be interested? A lot of you guys recommended it, so of course we got to check it out here today. If you guys enjoy, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Let me know what you guys want to see next. I love hearing your recommendations, getting a ton of them for these Fat Electrician videos, and that's awesome to see. And yeah, I'm interested in any type of content, so if you got anything, leave it down below for me. Big thank you to all of our members too, of course, all of our Hastati, our Principe, Dagenhart, and Hobbit, of course, our Prefect Fear. Appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. You know, YouTube is currently one of my only sources of income, so very much appreciate it. But yes, without any further delay, guys, we're gonna get right into this video. We're already liked up, of course. How can we not be? Captions are on. Quality is 1440p. We love it when we see it. Without any further delay, guys, let's get it. America's unhinged nuclear testing, Operation Plumbob.
Okay, I finally got around to doing that video on that time America launched a manhole cover in outer space with a nuclear bomb, and it turns out that's actually the lesser of 2 interesting parts of this story, because America also dropped a nuclear bomb on top of 6 people to prove that nukes were safe.
What the fuck does that mean?
About Operation Plumbob, the
Wait, right off the bat, to prove that nukes were safe in quotation marks? That surely that's got to be a vast oversimplification, right? Like what is surely, guys, come on, America, really to prove nukes are safe, man. Let's see.
Nukes were safe. Today we're talking about Operation Plumbob. The professional way to explain it would be to say that it is a bunch of nuclear testing that was carried out by the United States government in the late 1950s.
In the 50s, okay.
However, in reality, it is more akin to the United States government dicking off with nuclear warheads in the desert, like they were a bunch of rednecks on 4th of July with fireworks.
We'll shoot fireballs at.
But first, a word from our sponsor.
Oh, Nicholas.
Oh.
Yeah. Is this my Father's Day present?
Well, I do have a surprise for you.
What's that?
Our credit cards are maxed out.
Oh.
I'm gonna need you to fix it.
Oh.
Go shopping.
Oh. That fucking sucks.
Okay, here's the deal. Henson's is a family-owned machine shop that makes parts for the aerospace industry. There's literally parts on the Mars rover that these guys.
Also, wait a second. I just noticed his shirt there. Is that fucking that other shirt he's wearing? Look at that. Is that a man humping the word communism? What the fuck? That's a pretty base t-shirt. Sorry, I just noticed that. I'm like, what the fuck? That's cool.
By Henson's Shaving. Okay,
unrelated.
Henson's is a family-owned machine shop that makes parts for the aerospace industry. There's literally parts on the Mars rover that these guys made, and one day they woke up and they're like, hey, we're just gonna make the most precise safety razor on the market. And this is it. This is all they sell. That comes in aluminum or titanium. If you want to pay extra, it comes with a little stand. And then they also sell the razor blades, so you have a one-stop shop, not because their razor blades are proprietary, because this thing will take any shaving razor blade on the market. You don't have to buy their proprietary cartridge. You don't have to sign up for their monthly delivery thing. No, you buy this one time and then you can put any 5-cent razor in it and shave for the rest of your life. So the product itself is fantastic, but more importantly, the company is awesome, because every time a YouTuber does an ad like this, they get sent a little media packet full of talking points, what to say, what not to say, and so on. Now, I'm not supposed to disclose this, but the brief that I got for Henson's basically said there is no script, do whatever you want, we trust you. Also, in the first paragraph, they said this, quote, if for whatever reason you don't get a good shave with our product, please let us know. If we can't help you, then don't endorse us. We think we've made one of the very best razors in the world. If you disagree, we'd rather not ask you for a non-genuine endorsement. So the razor is the type of company that you actually want to give your money to. I'm gonna have a link for them down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, Operation Plumbob.
I just want to say, Henson razors, Henson shaving. I'm actually gonna probably look them up straight up. Like I've been I grow a lot of facial hair, guys. I'm not gonna lie, I can grow facial hair very, very easily. I've been looking for a decent razor, you know, a decent you know, basically implement to shave with, you know, because, you know, it's annoying as fuck having to buy a bunch of disposables all the time. So yeah, I mean, shit, I might actually look into that. Fuck, you guys should too. That's a great deal.
Actually want to give your money to. I'm going to have a link for them down below. Let's get back to the video. All right, Operation Plumbob takes place in 1957. There was a total of 29 nuclear explosions, and they were testing all kinds of different stuff. They had biomedical testing going on with pigs, seeing how radiation affected them and at what distance. Then they were covering the pigs with blankets, seeing what materials blocked the radiation, what materials didn't. They also conducted experiments on 18,000 U.S. service members.
Holy shit.
Having them dig a trench off in the distance.
Wait, really?
A nuclear warhead to see how they held up. And then they
I want to say I do, so I didn't know about any of this.
Blankets, seeing what materials blocked the radiation, what materials didn't. They also conducted experiments on 18.
I had no idea about like any of the experiments done on like animals, pigs there to block the effects of radiation. This footage here, I didn't realize like that's what this was from, but I have seen like bits and pieces of this footage in the past. And I had no idea Operation Plumbob. That's when they like get up out of the trench, they walk towards the effects, right? Or they walk towards the effects. They walk towards the mushroom cloud after it kind of disperses, and it's to see the quote unquote effects of radiation to prove. I see. Okay, shit. Wow. Okay, I have seen some of this historical footage, but I did not realize that that was the, like, I guess the purpose of it, or what it was called, Operation Plumbob. Okay. All right. Very interesting.
1,000 U.S. service members, basically having them dig a trench off in the distance and hide in it while they detonated a nuclear warhead to see how.
It's fucking crazy.
And then they had different buildings and structures built out of different materials, trying to see which building materials blocked radiation the best and which ones blocked them the worst. Now, when this started, all the bombs that were being detonated off the top of a tower or from a high altitude weather balloon. They were just detonating nuclear warheads into the open atmosphere. What could possibly go wrong?
Wow.
Right? And the important context here is that it's 1957. The world became aware of nuclear weapons 12 years prior at the end of World War II. And
right.
A couple years after that, the USSR had their own nuclear weapons. We are well off into the Cold War, and nuclear hysteria is at an all-time high. So by this point in time, the American general public doesn't just understand that nuclear weapons make a really big boom. They also, to some degree, also understand radiation and nuclear fallout. So everybody kind of understands what's going on at this point. I mean, they've even got cartoon turtles teaching kids what to do in case a nuclear bomb gets dropped near them.
Oh, man. Duck and cover. So yeah, that's such a classic ad. I think, I mean, I've seen a lot of, like, just out of my own curiosity, I've looked up a lot of like the old like safety films and like training films from like World War II onwards, and some during like the 70s 80s Cold War era as well. And it's just so interesting to see like some of these older like cartoons, even what children's cartoons were like displaying at the time. But also, like, it goes to show, especially in like the 40s, 50s, kind of the 60s era as well, but you start to see less of it. They use cartoons in the US, basically the US military training films. They were largely cartoon based still. And the reason for that, I think, is due to the education of the average person at that time period, right? A lot of people didn't have a high school education, you know, it just wasn't a thing, especially when you're joining the military at 17, 18, you know, a lot of people joining underage, of course, too, a lot of people not, but yeah, a lot of people just, you know, didn't have a higher education, you know, so it was something that they could understand, and it still got the point across, and it did it in a very effective way. Very, very smart, you know, utilizing like the layman terms, right, but still able to get a very, very important message across, of course.
Near them. So naturally, when everybody finds out the government is strapping nukes to balloons and blowing them up in the desert, there's quite a bit of concern, you know, like, hey, maybe that's a bad idea. And
yeah, maybe.
This is actually how the government's planning on protecting them from a nuclear strike from the Soviet Union by taking one of our nukes and blowing up the Soviet nuke in the sky right above everybody's heads. Ladies and gentlemen, the Genie air-to-air missile. Okay, you gotta
Holy
remember,
shit.
this is the 1950s. There's no intercontinental ballistic missile that can reach from the Soviet Union into America yet. So this means that the only nuclear strike risk really comes from Soviet bombers flying into America and dropping their bombs. So we gotta be ready to shoot down these planes, right? Obviously. Problem, again, it's the 1950s. There's no sophisticated anti-air systems yet, okay? There's not really any air missiles that our fighter jets can shoot accurately. So the going theory...
And that was a crazy time. This is a really great point. Yeah, like there's no such thing as really air-to-air missiles. I think there were early stages of them at that point, but they were not sophisticated by any means. And so, yeah, it's just such a crazy doctrine, like thinking about it, right? Because obviously we have, you know, intercontinental ballistic missiles now where, you know, they fucking launch themselves into space, travel to their target, launch themselves back down, and are able to hit their target. It's such a crazy doctrine to think like that at a time you literally had to physically fly a bomber over there to deploy your nuke, right? And it's just such a crazy thing to think about, you know, like that scare, like straight up, like one day, you know, we're going to be sending strata fortresses over there, and they're going to be sending I guess their equivalent, what would they be called, like Tulsas or something? I forget. I don't know what they're called. Their equivalent big planes, the Tu-29, right? Is that what it's called? I think they're strata bomber, basically. Strata fortress clone, if you will. Somebody let me know. I don't know the specifics. I'm not huge into avionics. I find them very, very interesting, but I don't know a lot of the older military vehicles, so I apologize on that. But goddamn, very, very cool. Very scary, but cool time period, you know, at the same time.
Really any air-to-air missiles that our fighter jets can shoot accurately. So the going theory was that we're going to use this nuclear fucking missile and shoot it at an entire formation of Soviet planes and blow all of them up at once.
Genius!
Okay, and on a rudimentary level, this makes complete sense, right? If you can't be accurate, you increase the margin of error. If you're not good with shooting a pistol, maybe grab a shotgun. It's easier to hit your target. However, what they went and done with the Genie missile might be a little bit of overkill, because what they've essentially said is, well, I'm not very accurate with air-to-air missiles for shooting down planes, so instead I've opted to create a spawn point for the fucking sun. So naturally, now everybody's absolutely terrified, and the government's like, guys, calm down. It's going to be completely fine. There's no, you know what? I'll just prove it to you. Give me 5 volunteers and a camera guy, but don't tell him what he's doing. On
Holy
July
shit.
19th, 1957, the United States government detonated a Genie air-to-air nuclear missile with a 1.5 kiloton warhead directly above the heads of 5 U.S. service members that volunteered to be there, and a camera guy that was not informed of what he was doing until a couple hours beforehand.
That's fucked.
I'm out.
That's fucked.
You cannot pull out of this. I'm pulling
out. Oh, this is a great movie, too.
I'm pulling out. No, you're not. You're leaving it in. I've been pulling out for years, son.
And in your head, you're probably picturing like 5 dudes in hazmat suits with a welding mask on. No, it's literally 5 bros in their military uniforms.
Really?
Standing in the middle of the desert with no glasses, making direct eye...
Is that seriously like the footage? Like, actually, like that's how they were fucking, dude. The 50s are such a radical fucking time, bro. Like, what the fuck? I could not imagine, like, just knowing what we know now, right, about like the effects of radiation, the effects of, you know, atomic bombs, nuclear weapons in general, right? And no eye protection either. Like, my God, that's craziness, bro. Like, that's actually just fucking insane. Like, I can't imagine like the fucking like CF98 fucking that I would file, you know, like 30 years down the line, you know, because I'm fucking dying of radiation cancers. Like, what the fuck is this, man? Like, straight up, I don't know. Respectable though, like that is fucking big bald.
Uniforms, standing in the middle of the desert,
like
with
you go
no
blind,
glasses, making direct eye contact with
yeah.
a nuclear explosion, while one of them is holding a sign that says Ground Zero, Population 5.
That's fucking...
because that shit's funny.
We felt a heat pulse, a very bright light, a fireball. It is red. The sky looks black about it. It is boiling.
Holy shit.
It is rapid. Losing its color. There is the ground wave. It is over, folks. It is tremendous. Directly above our heads. It went. worked. It worked.
Okay, now let's just take a minute and appreciate the fact that you've probably just witnessed the most testicular fortitude ever captured on camera.
That's fucking...
Secondly, let's also admire the fact that the sign that says Ground Zero Population 5 is not only funny at face value, but it's hilarious that they only counted the 5 of them in the camera.
Not the camera guy.
Himself,
yeah.
Because even back in 1957, they knew that the cameraman never dies.
Literally.
Actually, like Frodo Baggins.
And out of respect for them being, to the best of my knowledge, the only 6 people that have ever volunteered to have a nuclear warhead dropped directly above their foreheads, I'm going to go ahead and read their names off. The cameraman's name is George Yoshitake, and the 5 service members are as follows. Colonel Sidney Bruce, Lieutenant Colonel Frank Ball, Major John Hughes.
I just want to pause on those names. That's so big bald. And also too, like, I have to say, none of these were like just regular enlisted. These are all fucking like officers, you know, like current, like high ranking fucking officers. Oh my God. Like you got colonels, majors, largely majors, a lieutenant colonel and a colonel. Like that's fucking like, I could not imagine the Canadian military like sacrificing that potentially, you know, like there's no fucking way. Like we don't just get those, you know what I mean? Like it's not like we can just replace them. Fuck. That's big bald, man. Like actually just balls of fucking steel. I would never, like who in your right mind would volunteer? It's not like they were told to do that. Like I'm pretty sure he said they volunteered. Like, yeah, all right. You know, like why not? Fuck, man. People in the 50s were just insane. Like in earlier time periods, I feel like they were just built different, bro. I don't know.
Major Norman Bodinger and Don Luttrell. Apparently the cameraman, Mr. Yoshitake, had filmed a bunch of other nuclear tests in the past, and he thought that this was going to be no different than all the other ones, you know, where he's miles and miles away just filming a mushroom cloud, and he didn't know that they were going to be dropping the bomb directly above him until like a couple hours beforehand, and he was already there. After arriving to the test site, he was briefed on what was going to go down, and according to him, he was pretty much completely unfazed. He did not care at all, and he was 100% game to partake in this experiment, which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck.
This is what I picture.
What did you picture?
I walk in there like a fucking gangster.
And then he goes on to live a normal life until he passed away in 2013 at the age of 84. And the other 5 service members that were also involved in this experiment all lived full, happy lives. As far as I could tell, the youngest any of them passed away was 71, and the rest of them all lived into their 70s. And
maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe nuclear bombs are safe, dude. Because, like, fuck, like... Like you would think they would have just gotten sprinkled, like doused with fucking like any potential like side effects of that radiation, right? Caused by that explosion. I don't know. Like perhaps I'm overestimating it, you know? Perhaps I just don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and it's actually completely safe. I mean, that's what they were trying to prove here, right? How did the pigs fare? I'm curious about the pigs. How did they do? You know, did the pigs live? Tell me about the pigs, you know, because if so, fuck, maybe nuclear bombs are safe. Who knows?
And while it's great that they were all okay, the PR stunt itself wasn't really that effective because the general public wasn't swayed very much by it. They still wanted them to stop launching nuclear bombs all the time. So finally, the U.S. government's
couldn't
like,
imagine why.
Fine, we'll stop blowing up so many bombs in the desert. And the American people are like, and above the desert in the atmosphere. Okay, fine. And above the desert in the atmosphere. And in the ocean. Fine, we won't detonate nuclear bombs in the ocean either. And that is the story of how nuclear testing finally came to an end. No, I'm just kidding. The government decided to opt for the loophole, and they were going to bore a 500-foot deep hole in the middle of the desert so that they could blow up a nuke underneath, because nobody would be mad, because people were only mad about on the surface in the atmosphere.
Only matters if you can see it.
Surely, blowing one up underground wouldn't be that big of a deal, right? I mean, what could go wrong?
Delete me!
What are you doing? I already did the ad.
Delete me is gonna do every episode from now on.
Really?
What?
Wait, how much are they paying?
Don't worry about it.
Anyways, you guys know the deal by now. It's pretty straightforward. You give Delete Me money, they turn around and they make sure the data brokers on the internet aren't selling your personal information. And after they get it all taken down initially, they continue to monitor it and make sure nobody else starts selling it in the future. So if you're interested, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's keep going. I mean, I'm not an over...
Use code electrician if you guys plan on using Delete Me. Useful service, you know. You don't want to get tracked by any of them data brokers. Go use this code, 20% off. Good deal.
selling it in the future. So if you're interested, I'll have a link and a discount code down below. Let's keep going. I mean, I'm not an overly smart guy or an explosions expert or anything, but I mean, off the top of my head, I've got some concerns. Primarily, I've seen the cinematic masterpiece Armageddon, where Bruce Willis convinced me that a bunch of dudes that work on an oil rig are easier to train to be astronauts than teaching astronauts how to drill a fucking hole. I mean,
Truly.
that's the entire premise of the movie. Drill a hole, stick a nuke down it, blow the planet you're on in half. I understand 500 feet probably isn't deep enough for that to be realistic, but still, nothing good can come of this. You're gonna like piss off King Kong or unleash that Balrog thing.
Yeah, kaiju is gonna fucking come out of the ground, bro.
Now, luckily, they're not planning on detonating a nuclear warhead in this hole. They're just planning on blowing one up. And what I mean by that is the premise of this experiment was basically, remember, we're worried about the USSR bringing bombers, planes, and dropping a nuclear bomb on America. And we're planning on shooting those USSR bombers down. Essentially, we're gonna blow up those planes that have a nuclear weapon on board. They want to know what happens when you blow up a nuclear weapon with a conventional type bomb or missile, right? So they're going to stick a nuclear warhead in the hole with another bomb, and they're going to blow up the conventional bomb and see if that blows up the nuclear bomb as well, because we need to know that. And the going theory is that the nuke is not going to explode because nuclear bombs have to be set off in a very particular way, and if they don't get set off in that exact way, there's safety measures that are actually supposed to kill the nuke rather than set it off. But that's all theoretical, and there's only one real way to actually test it, right? You're gonna back up, grab a camera, yell World Star, and see what happens.
Now, but to be fair, right? As stupid as a lot of these tests sound, it's kind of necessary, you know, because if you're going to be using or storing, especially, right? And the key thing is storing weapons of mass destruction such as this, you can't be down to the theory. You can't be down to the theoretical of it, right? You need to know completely what you're doing, what you're dealing with, and how to safely store it, how to safely maintain it, right? And how it's going to affect not only the world around it, right? But how it's going to act in the immediate, given other explosions going off, right? Obviously, the thought process was if the USSR is attacking the United States, maybe a bomb or some type of payload hits close to one of their atomic bombs, will that detonate it, right? That's a good thing to want to know, right? Will the fail safes keep it in place, or will it go off as well, right? Who knows? But it's a very, very good thing that you want to check. You want to check all the boxes. I probably wouldn't have thought of something like that, right? To a degree, right? Like if you have a fail safe in place, it's like, oh, fuck it. It's supposed to work. Fuck it, right? Now the US has detonated a fucking obscene amount of bombs. Don't get me wrong. Nuclear payload bombs, right? Atomic bombs as well. There is a difference, but you know, I couldn't tell you the exact specifics of it because I'm not a fucking nuclear engineer, nuclear scientist. But either way, you know, it's a necessary thing to want to learn.
Real way to actually test it, right? You're gonna back up, grab a camera, yell World Star, and see what happens.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what they do. July 26, 1957, they have the first underground nuclear test ever, known as Pascal A. Takes them all day to set it up. They gotta lower the device down this hole, they get everything ready. Then, on top of the hole, you know, in case the nuclear bomb does go off, they lower a 5-foot thick slab of concrete that weighs thousands and thousands of pounds.
Holy
and then
shit.
on top of the hole, they have some kind of lid. I'm not sure what material it was. They didn't say, but sitting on top of the lid, there was a bunch of sensing equipment, because remember, they're not expecting a big explosion. They're expecting a really small explosion, and they want to get as much data from it as possible. So they have like sensors and cameras aiming down the hole through this lid. And I will now let the head scientist in charge, Bob Brownlee, take the story from here. And I quote, "They finally got it down the hole, by my recollection, about 10 o'clock at night or so. There wasn't much time to go back to Mercury, go to bed, get up the next morning and shoot it. So somebody said, why don't we just shoot it now and then go in? And it was the world's finest Roman candle, because at night it was all visible. Blue fire shot hundreds of feet into the air.
Oh my God.
Was down in the area, and then they all jumped up, jumped in their cars, and drove like crazy, not even counting who was there and who came out of the area.
What
so the
the fuck?
Equipment didn't work. The nuclear part went off, generating an explosion about 50,000 times bigger than they were anticipating.
Holy
Apparently,
shit.
The explosion was so large that seismic equipment from all over the world could sense this explosion. You know,
really?
Seismic equipment being the shit they use to detect earthquakes. Another scientist that was present described it as, and I quote, "the biggest damn Roman candle you ever saw. It was beautiful. big blue glow in the sky. And because of this, the United States government comes to the realization, okay.
So it was literally just a giant, like, 700-foot stream of fucking blue fire that shot out of this fucking, like, manhole, essentially. Or this hole, essentially. That's fucking nuts, man. And yeah, they're not expecting it. They're all just like booting around kind of close to it. Oh yeah, shooting the shit, drinking coffee. And then suddenly the ground starts to fucking shake. You're like, get in the fucking car, we need to leave. This is a problem, holy fuck. Yeah, dude, that would be scary, but also very, very cool. I'm not gonna lie. Again, I can respect it, man, because it's just, you know, big boom, you know, it seems fun, you know, at the same time, as horrific as it is, you know. You know, maybe it's just because, like, I'm a guy, I don't know, but something beautiful about a massive explosion, you know? I don't know.
Big blue glow in the sky. And because of this, the United States government comes to the realization, okay, maybe underground nuclear testing isn't that great of it. I'm just fucking with you guys. They redid the exact same experiment like a month later, August 27th,
of course,
1957. And they didn't really change a whole lot about the experiment. They took the device, they stuck it down the hole, they put thousands of pounds of concrete directly on top of it, and then the only thing they did change was instead of whatever lid they were using before that they could, like, put sensors through and shit, they went and tried to control the explosion by getting a 2,000-pound manhole cover, and then they welded it shut over the top of the hole. They then took the best high-speed camera they could find and aimed it at the manhole cover, because if the safety device failed again, whatever happens to the manhole cover was, and I quote, scientifically interesting, aka
really,
they're just doing Mythbusters shit with DOD.
Literally.
So they detonate the bomb. The safety,
bro, that's what I mean. Like, you can tell after a certain point. Like, obviously, there's a reason. Like, you want to conduct tests for it too, as I said before. But it gets to a certain point, I think, with America, where it's just like, we're just gonna fucking do it just to try it, you know? Might as well, you know? We got the budget, we got the bombs. Fuck it, why not? Why not? You know what I'm saying? This is fucking hilarious to me. Like, they justify fucking anything just for the shits of it. That's hilarious. I love that.
AKA, they're just doing Mythbusters shit with DOD money. So they detonate the bomb, the safety device fails, the nuclear portion goes off, and in hindsight, what happened is when you have a nuclear bomb go off with thousands of pounds of concrete directly on top of it,
right,
that concrete is instantly vaporized and turned into gas, and then that gas is pretty also
superheated,
yeah, and superheated gas expands a lot, and this is an enclosed environment because they welded the manhole cover shut. If you're not putting down, the scientists just
holy shit,
the planet into a fucking potato gun and
literally
launched this 2,000-pound manhole cover, presumably into outer space.
Oh, holy shit.
So all the scientists, being pros, start asking the question that everybody wants the answer to. How fast do you think that manhole cover was going? So they go to the high-speed camera. Okay, this camera is taking 1 frame per 1,000th of a second. Okay, it's a lot of fucking pictures. The manhole cover appears in 1 singular frame, and that is it. So because it was only captured by a single frame and not multiple frames, they can't calculate how far it was traveling over a period of time, so all they can calculate is the minimum speed that it would have to be going to only be captured by a single frame in the span of the camera shot. And the calculation they came up with was that manhole cover was moving at least 150,000 miles an hour.
Holy
fuck. 195. It is 195 times faster than the speed of sound. And the best part about all this is that this happened prior to Sputnik 1, meaning that if this manhole cover made it into outer space, it was the first man-made object to ever make it into outer space. It didn't make it into outer space. It would have burnt up in the atmosphere just like meteorites do. Oh shit, you're right. I completely forgot that every single meteorite that's ever come into the Earth's atmosphere is burnt up completely and never actually makes it to the ground. I'll be right back. I've got to go tell all the dinosaurs to stand up and quit being babies, because clearly they're exaggerating.
And while, like, I have to say too, like, I don't know how the effects would be. Maybe it would be different too. Re-entry versus, like, exit, right, from the atmosphere. I assume if it's going up at such a fucking high speed, it might burn up, but I think you mostly get burn up on re-entry into the atmosphere, not exit, right? I could be wrong, but I think that's more where the concern lies, because you have, like, your heat shielding on your spacecraft, you know, kind of around, like, the cockpit shit that'll come into orbit, right? Because all your rocketry and shit, if you're talking like a staging based rocket, it's disengaging all that shit before it makes re-entry sometimes, right, depending on on what you're talking about, right? My limited knowledge of fucking of space comes from fucking KSP, so I apologize.
Tell all the dinosaurs to stand up and quit being babies, because clearly they're exaggerating. Guys, they're dead. This is completely
Holy
different
shit.
from a meteorite for multiple reasons. For
Yeah.
one, a meteorite's never been made out of 2,000 pounds of refined steel. For
Yeah,
two, a
that's another
meteorite's
thing.
moving at about 30,000 miles an hour when it collides with the Earth's atmosphere. This thing's moving at 150,000 miles an hour, and space is only 62 miles up, okay? This thing made it to outer space in a second.
Literally.
Even friction was like, what the fuck was that? Thirdly, the collision with the atmosphere is nothing like a meteorite, right? A meteorite is a rock traveling through the vacuum of outer space with no other forces acting upon it, and it collides with Earth's atmosphere, and then it gets slowed down and it gets burnt up, okay?
Right.
The manhole cover isn't just moving at 150,000 miles an hour through the atmosphere. It is being propelled by a channeled nuclear explosion with all of the gases, aka the atmosphere behind it, also moving 150,000 miles an hour in the same
That's true.
direction.
Yes, science.
Okay, and just to
That
be
is
clear,
true.
I'm not saying that I'm correct. I'm simply saying I'm incredibly ill-equipped to answer this question accurately, and no offense, but there's about a 99.999% chance that you are too. So my verdict
Yeah.
in regards to
I'm not fucking qualified to answer a question like that either, but I will say what he said does make sense. It does make complete fucking sense. Yeah, all those were reasonable arguments. I think it probably made it there. Yeah, like space is not that far away, realistically speaking, and once it gets into space, right? You know, Newton's, what is it, first, second law? I don't fucking know. Object in motion will stay in motion, right? So the speed it's traveling at, it's going to continue traveling at that. So the second it gets out there, man, that shit's fucking, it's gone, right? Like it's not going to, you know, go into orbit or anything like that because of its fucking speed, its velocity, right? And once it's up there, you know, there's nothing stopping it. There's no force to act upon it, nothing to burn it down, right? So it's just fucking out there, right? That's crazy for me to think about. Like, man. Like, how close to the speed of light is that then? Because it's faster than the speed of sound by a fucking shitload. What was it? Almost 200 times. So how close to the speed of light is it? Actual genuine question.
but there's about a 99.999% chance that you are too. So my verdict in regards to this manhole cover is going to be that it's still up in the air. There's a horrible dad joke. I'm sorry. Moving on. Now, fast forward, nuclear testing continued both underground, above ground, and in the atmosphere until 1963, when they signed a treaty with the Soviet Union and Great Britain that the only nuclear testing allowed was going to be underground. Now, fast forward again a couple of decades, and people's concerns over atmospheric nuclear bomb detonations turned out to be 100% legitimate because a ton of people ended up having elevated risks of cancer. Both the 18,000 soldiers that were present at Operation Plumbob had highly elevated likelihoods of developing leukemia and thyroid cancer, as well as thousands of civilians that were living in towns near the test sites. And I know what you're thinking, how come those people got cancer, but the guys that literally stood underneath a nuclear bomb as it was detonated didn't? Well, the way that nuclear radiation works is that it dissipates pretty quickly over like 2 to 3 days, and then it's completely gone. Which is why, like, all the old videos and protocols telling you what to do in case of a nuclear attack always told you, you know, duck and cover from the initial blast wave and then make your way inside and stay inside for like a week. After that, the radiation is decayed enough that it shouldn't hurt you. So the guys that were exposed to that bomb directly overhead were exposed to it for presumably 10, 15 minutes before they dipped and left, whereas a lot of these soldiers were exposed to repeated nuclear explosions over and over again, or these towns, the explosions would go up into the atmosphere and the radiation would be caught in the wind, and it would just carpet these towns with radiation for days over and over and over again in the course of years. Hundreds of nuclear detonations exposing these people to radiation. Now,
that makes sense.
Like 3 decades to 1990, the United States government, with its infinite charity and outstanding moral compass, finally decides that they're going to pass the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act, where they're going to pay these people that were wrongfully exposed to radiation due to their negligence. If you got cancer and you could prove that it was because of them, they would go ahead and they would give you $75,000 in one lump sum if you were a soldier on the ground, or if you were an innocent civilian just living your life in a town miles and miles away, they would give you $50,000.
That's
no
fucking insane.
You could take, you can't sue them for more, you can't reject it, just here's what I'm going to give you, fuck off.
That's actually kind of fucking wild to me. Like $75,000 is nothing, and then if you're just a civilian, 50? Are you kidding me? So like that's not much money at all, and especially to like for something that is going to kill you over time, right? And like, you got to think, I don't know exactly what like the cost of treatment would be in the US, right? I don't, I have a, I live in Canada, so we don't pay for our healthcare here, right? It comes out of our taxes, right? In a sense, we pay a lot more in taxes because of it, but it's one of the good things about Canada is, if something bad happens to you, at least you kind of are covered in a sense, assuming you can get, treatment, but that's a whole other, ball of yarn. Anyway, yeah, I wonder what the cost of like treatment for that would be. Like, so how much you're actually like keeping from that, right? Assuming you don't die, right? Like that's the sick thing here. But 50,000 if you're just a civilian living your life, literally minding your own fucking business, $50,000. That's crazy.
You can't sue them for more. You can't reject it. Just here's what I'm going to give you. Fuck off.
Wow, that sounds like a really good deal. How about I give you the finger?
Okay, just so we're on the same page with this, the United States government takes your tax money, whether you want them to or not. You don't get an option. They're taking it.
Right.
Okay. They then turned that money into radiation that they used to poison Americans with and give them cancer. Then, 30 years after the fact, they decided, you know what? We should make things right by giving the people that survived this long and can actually prove it was our fault, we'll give them like 50 grand. Bear in mind that 50 grand is also money that was tax money that they took.
Yeah.
So they took your money, used it to poison you, and then to pay you off, they gave you some of your money back.
I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.
Literally.
How absolutely crazy that is. Imagine if somebody walked up to somebody on the street and was like, hey, give me all the money in your wallet, or I'm going to throw you in a cage for years against your will. And you're like, okay, and you give them all the money in your wallet. They turn around, they go buy brass knuckles, come back, and then punch you in the face with the brass knuckles that they just bought with your money. And then they look down at you and they're like, oh, I really hurt you, my bad. And then they get into your pocket, find another $20 bill, pull that $20 bill out of your pocket, and then hand it back to you to pay you off for punching you in the face.
It's never
Literally.
too early to learn that the government is a greedy piglet. That's
Oh my God.
Taxpayers' teat until they have sore, chapped nipples.
Holy shit.
I gotta end this video. I feel radicalized. In conclusion, this has been the story of 6 crazy bastards that volunteered to have a nuclear bomb detonated directly above their head, and that time that America may have accidentally launched a manhole cover into outer space, potentially becoming the first man-made object ever, and that time that the US government poisoned tens of thousands of people with radiation, giving them cancer, and basically had no consequences for it whatsoever.
Fuck.
Thanks for watching.
That is crazy.
Go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out.
Wow, guys.
Government giving people cancer with 0 consequences while trying to tell me I can't drink raw milk. I don't even want to drink raw milk. I'm just mad they think they can tell me I can't.
Facts. Wow, guys, that was awesome. That was the Fat Electricians America's Unhinged Nuclear Testing Operation Plumbob by the Fat Electrician. That was an awesome video. Really loved seeing that. What a crazy fucking story. Yeah, I would lay money that manhole cover probably did hit space. But what is actually so like brutal about that story is just the fact of how many people were affected, right? Like, we're talking about like what, 16,000 troops on the ground, right? And then how many thousands of civilians? Are we talking tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands? I'm assuming most of these tests took place in a pretty like isolated area. I think, what is it, usually in Nevada? I could be wrong. I don't know where the exact nuclear test site is, or where their major test sites are typically. Yeah, like what the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, how does that happen? Like, how do you straight up argue? Like, and they know what radiation, I guess, is at this point, right? And they know its effects, at least to some degree. Is it just the long-term side effects, I guess, that they weren't knowledgeable about? Because I guess how would you know, right? I mean, the bomb was only built at this point 12, 15 years ago, right? So, you know, if you're talking about somebody 30 years later getting cancer or at a higher rate getting cancer, yeah, you got no idea, right? So I guess that's kind of what it's there to prove. But I do love the balls of the fact that the balls of the Americans here, where they're just gonna like fucking blow everything up just for the fucking fun of it. I think that's awesome. Also to test safety again, you do want to conduct, especially when you're talking weapons of mass destruction like this, you do want to conduct every safety test you could probably think of. But it's also just the case of they were just doing it to do it. I feel like a lot of the times too. Like, how could you not? You got them, you might as well. You know, that's the thing. I mean, fuck. What are you making these bombs for if you're never gonna test them and see how they work, right? So yeah, thought this was an awesome video. File Electrician killed it there again. If you guys enjoyed, make sure you leave a like, subscribe for more content from me, and of course leave your recommendations down in the comments below. Big thank you to all of our members, all of our Hastati, our Principe, Dagenhart, and Hobbit, and of course our Prefect Fear. Appreciate you guys. You guys inspire me to make more content for you guys every single day. And with that, guys, last thing, actually, come join our Discord. Don't usually plug that. Come on down, join our Discord if you're not part of it. Love to see you guys there. Join our Discord. And with that, guys, this has been Centurion. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.